Hello and welcome back to my YouTube channel. This is a very long awaited update to my mango growing series. I haven't updated since day 51. So this is day 59. The plant is still beautiful, but it's covered with flying insects. At any given time there are 3 or 4 of these little buggers from outside. Plant hoppers, leaf hoppers, and the like. You can see 2 right there. They're different colors. I think this small one that I'm trying to brush off that's very obnoxious and won't get the hint is a nymph maybe, or maybe it's a smaller species. So they just play hide and go seek with your finger. If you try to brush them off, they crawl to the underside of the leaf. They never take the hint and leave. I don't want to apply pressure to the leaves and try to smash anything on them. That would just cause damage, and they would just come back later anyway. So the foliage is nice, but there's no further development really. You can see some spots that have scarred over due to this insect predation. And I'm worried that they might be transmitting diseases. That's more damage than they could do physically themselves. And here you can see me trying to brush off more of these plant hoppers. So they're not going to go away, and I think I'm going to have to take more drastic measures. But other than that, the leaf foliage looks beautiful and healthy. It's just that I don't know how much of this insect predation the mango seedling can take. And eventually all the leaves will be marred. And that damage can add up over time if more and more come from the wild and decide that this is a free-for-all, a buffet for sucking the juices out of the plant. But other than that, there's not that much progress, so I think I'm going to have to rectify the situation. At this point in the series, I'm still using a squirt bottle with some dissolved fertilizer in it. I'm just squirting at the base. I'm not fertilizing too heavy. I did that earlier in the series and to start, and the weather was much warmer back then, but for all my other series, I basically stopped fertilizing. I introduced some wild California, Southern Californian dirt from the hills and the surrounding neighborhoods. But at this point, I'm still fertilizing in the old way. And this is followed by some showering with a small amount of distilled water. I didn't want to overwater early on, but I've been told that mango seedlings at least can handle a little bit more water, at least compared to citrus. So it should be good. There's no reason to change anything drastically if the plant still looks healthy. So get one last good look at this because it's never going to look this good again. Unfortunately, I'm very sad to report that by the end of this video it'll look a lot different, but there's going to be some new hope. So this angle, it's beautiful, it's lush, and then by day 74 I could already tell there's been a slight deterioration in color and quality of the leaves. They look older, more weathered. I spun this pot around to have the seedling get a little closer to the edge of the balcony to where there was more sun. I figured maybe it was in a good position to germinate earlier, but with fall approaching, perhaps it just needed more sun. I'm not sure. But as you can see here, it's not quite as green as it was before. With 2 insecticide sprayings separated by a week, I treated my balcony and all of the plants on it with insecticide spraying. The insecticide itself is quite old actually. It's a few years old. So this is day 85, and the foliage still looks better. Well, maybe it just looks better than last time because I shifted the position. I don't know, but I think the shoot apical meristem is growing. It's got a few tiny little spikes of green sticking out that weren't there before. That's a good sign. I'm also disappointed simultaneously at the fact that there's no additional growth in these leaves. I mean, some of them are small, like this one that's parallel to the ground. The last leaf that grew out from the first batch, that hasn't gone anywhere in ages. And then the second smallest leaf, that hasn't really elongated or gotten any bigger. It's very puzzling. I figured all leaves would be on some kind of genetic program to just keep growing if they're receiving an adequate amount of nutrition and water and sun. So it's day 98. There's been a 3 to 4 day hot streak of 100 plus Fahrenheit every day in October. And after the hot streak was passed, I looked down my balcony and I saw that this very large leaf facing the sun had been burned to a crisp. And as you can see, there's more growth, yet more growth in the shoot apical meristem. That's very promising. However, I'm worried that this plant will befall the same fate that my avocado seedling of 2016 last season did, which is to lose all of its original first batch of leaves, spawn a second batch of leaves. In that case, it would just shoot out 6 new ones that look very healthy in the beginning, and then they would die, and then it would shoot out 6 more and eventually get depleted. This has had its first batch of leaves persevere for a very long time. So it's already been maybe 50 days since this set of leaves stopped growing. It's been very frustrating and there have been problems, but with insecticide, all the bugs on my balcony are largely gone. I still see a few ants here and there, but I'm sure they came from the outside. No more flying pests. So I'm very positive about the insecticide sprayings. I think I did maybe 2 or 3 of them each spaced 2 weeks apart. But as you can see here, there's a seed coat, or what remains of it, brittle, leathery, and blackened. And this is the endosperm that's been completely spent or just rotted away, or both. So much for a mango seedling just going off of its nutritive battery, so to speak, for 2 feet of growth or whatever people are claiming. So this is some Southern Californian wild dirt that I brought in from the hills. The elevation around here is about 400 feet above sea level, although it's not that far away from the coastline. So I don't have much of it. I got 1 Ziploc bag and didn't stuff it completely full. I used a hand trowel. I got some dirt from outside, but I'm figuring this will add some nutrients from the outside. It's day 122, and I got 2 more zipper bags full of wild Southern California dirt. And as you can see, although the hot streak is gone, we later had, it was a few days of a 90-degree hot streak in November. And later on, towards the end of this episode, we had a bunch of wildfires, but it was only 80 Fahrenheit to start December. So as you can see, the shoot apical meristem has grown significantly, and unfortunately it seems like these bottom leaves are programmed to die. The ones that are facing the sun are the ones that were scorched in October during that weather anomaly. So it's day 140. Shoot apical meristem is growing faster now. So on day 122, I covered the entire top of the pot and its potting mix with wild dirt, and that caked and formed a layer. It's harder to get water to percolate down there, but as you can see, there's further deterioration, bleaching of those leaves after the heat wave, even though there's been no heat waves after that. So maybe the plant is just cannibalizing whatever nutrients it can salvage from here. See, this leaf that we're turning on right now looks particularly bad. It's not mold or anything, it's just leaves being lost. And of course, the winter is approaching. As of this, it's December 6th. So it's approaching the shortest days of the year, the winter solstice. And in January, it's going to get colder. Granted, it is San Diego County in California, so it's not going to freeze over or anything in all likelihood. Although the weather's been very anomalous this year. So as you can see, this dying of the leaves is going to spread, I think. And this is an example of what I'm talking about, the second smallest leaf. It looks healthy, but it hasn't grown this entire time. And I'm sure if I compare this footage to the footage from nearly 100 days ago, I would say the leaves look more leathery. They're older and thicker. I'm sure for a lot of plants, especially vines, the leaves have a shelf life. They don't just sit there looking healthy and huge forever, nice and green. they age and then they get discarded by the plant. I don't know why they need to have such high turnover, but in nature, maybe insect parasites and other things or weather factors mean that the leaves aren't worth keeping for a full year or longer or perpetually. So as you can see, the shoot apical meristem is shooting out these green shoots. At first I thought the tips look a little burned. Maybe these are going to die too, but they're getting longer and they look like these tiny little green tentacles. So it's very interesting. I can't wait to see what the second batch of leaves will look like. This series needs a kick in the pants, definitely. It's been 90 days since anything really happened, and I'm sure that people are eager to see some kind of progress, but winter is approaching, so we might not see that much progress. The balcony only gets maybe 2 hours of angled sunlight in the afternoon. So thanks for watching this update, and please stay tuned to my channel for 2018.